Alright, welcome back to the channel, and today we're going to be talking about leveling a Shaman in WoW Classic Hardcore servers. So if you like this kind of content, be sure to leave me a like, comment, subscribe, all that fun jazz, and we'll just jump right into it. The Shaman is an interesting pick. Let's go over the upsides to the Shaman first. Well, you have just a ton of tools at your disposal for leveling a shaman. Stoneclaw Totem, Earthbind Totem, Wind Fury Totem later on. You're going to have your Mana Totem, your Healing Totem, just, all kinds of stuff. You have all your different shock abilities, fire shock for the damage over time. There's the frost shock for the slow. Your earth shock has an interrupt on it. So casters really aren't that much of a problem. You've got an interrupt on like a 6 or 8 second cooldown. You've got purge. You can take off buffs on enemies. I mean, just a ton of tools at your disposal. And then on top of that, you get stuff like underwater breathing and water walking later on, which is kind of cool. It's not, something you need very often, but it's really nice to have, when you do get it. You've got the different imbuements for your weapon. I mean, they're not that amazing at low levels. Rockbiter weapon, Flame Tongue weapon. I mean, they're not just all that amazing, right? But later on, you get the Wind Fury weapon, which is really nice. The Shaman can be a healer or a DPS, so that's, and you can be a ranged DPS with elemental specialization, or you can be a melee DPS with enhancement. Let's see, what else? What else can we think of? Ghost Wolf. You get Ghost Wolf at level 20, which is going to speed up your travel time when you're having to do all the running around that you have to do in WoW Classic. So that's nice. Levels 20 to 40 are going to be a little easier, a little nicer because of that. Just like I said, there's a lot going for the Shaman in theory. Now this is one of my weaker classes, right? Like I've never been just a huge fan of the Shaman in WoW Classic. So I haven't played it just a ton. I have played it quite a bit, but not as much as probably people that actually enjoy the Shaman quite a bit. So, take this with a grain of salt, but let's talk about the downsides of the Shaman now. I find that your mana efficiency is not great on the Shaman. This is around level 12. The gameplay that I'm showing you here. Where I've just gotten to the Barrens, and you can see it's already kind of kicking in. If you're going to be casting like 2 to 3 lightning bolts, and then your shock spells on one target, you're basically out of mana after every target, or at most every 2 targets. So it's not really the most mana efficient. So you're gonna spend more time drinking on a Shaman than on a mage, probably. I mean, it doesn't feel as good as other classes, is what I wanted to say. So there is that. That's honestly the worst thing about the shaman that I can think of. I mean, it just doesn't feel great with the mana efficiency. You need to have drinks on you at all times and food on you at all times because, I mean, you can see my health and mana bars. They're not faring well in this leveling that I'm doing in this video, and for me that really continues. You never really, that doesn't ever really get better for the shaman, I guess is what I mean to say. Now a lot of it is that my gear on this guy is not good. This is low level, and I mean, you wouldn't really think it, but the shaman is incredibly gear dependent. Um, I I want to compare it to the warrior, really I do, but what it feels like to me is that the warrior is mainly gear dependent on its weapon, right? Everything else helps, but on the shaman, you need to keep your weapon updated and the rest of your gear because you need intellect, you need agility, you need strength, and you need stamina, and you need all of it all the time, right? So yeah, that's pretty frustrating for me trying to come up with gear and keep your gear balanced as you're leveling. Uh, because you do actually. I know you're not, even if you go enhancement, which I think is the best leveling spec because you are less mana dependent if you are enhancement, but you're never going to get away from being uh, dependent on your mana. You never want to go into a fight with zero mana. It's just, yeah, you can do it, but it's not going to be all that great. It's going to take you a lot longer to kill enemies that way. So, the other downside of it is, yeah, it's just awkward, for me. Um, Especially from level 10 to 20. At this point, you can't dual wield and you can't use a two-handed weapon. If you go through enhancement at level 20, you can get the talent to where you can use two-handed maces and axes. And at that point, it gets a little better. I but levels 10 to 20, well, 1 to 20, you're going to be using a one-handed weapon and a shield, uh, regardless of what spec you are, and it just doesn't feel great. After a level 20, when you get the two-handed weapon, it does get better. You'll become more dependent on having a better weapon, I suppose, but yeah, not having to have a shield in your offhand does help. So, um, let's talk about the best race for a shaman. Um, Honestly, I know nobody's going to like this, but the axe specialization from the orc seems to me to be the best option that you can get on a shaman. Just because, especially if you're going enhancement, because then you get the increased weapon skill like you're a level higher than you actually are. More of your hits, more of your swings will hit, all that. Um, The troll with the regeneration and the berserking is, not horrible. The Tauren with the increased hit points and the stomp they do for the stun can be nice as well. But I still think the orc is the best choice. But mainly just because of the weapon skill when you're using axes. Now that does kind of, put you into um, that does kind of lock you into wanting to use axes more than any other kind of weapon. So again, that's mainly if you're going to be leveling as enhancement, because it really does make a huge difference. You get all these dodges and parries and misses while you're leveling, and it really does, slow you down quite a bit. Let's talk about professions now. Now that everybody's going to complain about me saying orcs are the best. So, but professions, professions, I really, especially in hardcore, I really recommend alchemy for the shaman. And the big reason for that is mana potions. Believe it or not, mana potions are the main reason I'm going to say that. It's not the only reason I'm going to say that, but having mana potions available as a shaman is going to speed up your leveling experience quite a bit. Drink them on cooldown if you can, because you can blow through your mana on a shaman in no time if you really want to. There's probably an efficient amount of spells to cast on each enemy at each level as you're leveling. Um, it's kind of hard to find that balance with the shaman, but it's more than just the mana potions and the healing potions. It's also that all of the different elixirs that you can get, like strength, agility, even armor, even weak troll's blood potion that's going to give you health per second. I mean, having as many of those bonuses active at one time as you can really does help, because like I said, as a shaman, you need strength, agility, stamina, and intellect, and you need all of them, and in much as much as you can get of every single one of them to make your character perform better. So when you need that many different bonuses, alchemy is a great answer for getting that. Leatherworking could be a really decent option as well to help make your own gear and help keep your, character a little stronger as you're leveling. But I don't feel like you would get as many bonuses from that as you would from alchemy. Engineering is honestly a good choice for anybody, but yeah, you can do well with engineering on a shaman as well. Just having the bombs for the stuns and, you know, the different trinkets you can get, that could be very helpful for a shaman as well. But I still think that alchemy would probably overall be the best and the most useful. Um, let's see. I highly, highly, highly recommend you level first aid as you're leveling. Um, just to you're not really gonna want to spend much of your mana on healing in between fights. because of how bad the mana efficiency is on the shaman. So, having first aid and being able to bandage between fights instead of using a healing spell, it can make it to where you can pull more consistently. Cooking, highly recommend leveling cooking. Again, for the same reason I recommend alchemy. Getting different bonuses from cooking that you need, just increase stamina. If you can get food that gives you agility or strength, that is amazing. If you like whatever it is, every kind of buff food is beneficial to a shaman, honestly. So definitely recommend leveling cooking as well. If you're trying to decide what talents to use when you're leveling, I highly recommend enhancement. If you're going to go elemental, you're going to be just a straight caster pretty much, and you're going to spend half your time drinking, 100%. It and that doesn't ever really change. Even getting towards max level, uh, you're just gonna have more downtime than with enhancement. But you are less gear dependent on your weapon if you're playing elemental, I suppose. But I mean, honestly, that's not enough. I think as far as efficiency goes, you wanna be enhancement. Especially once you get to the Wind Fury, enhancement is just going to be better. You're going to be able to fight more consistently and go through more pulls without having to stop to eat or drink with enhancement. And it should speed you up more than elemental, honestly. So, I mean, that's about all I've got to say about the shaman. There's a lot to talk about with the shaman. It really there's so much to them. It's a more complicated class. But honestly, I just don't like them. I do not enjoy trying to level a shaman. If you do, I mean, good for you, I guess. I don't get it. My experience with this class in Classic has not been just really amazing. I love it in later expansions, but in Classic, I'm not a big fan. We talked earlier about how many tools you have for leveling with a shaman, but honestly, I get to the point where having so many different tools available makes it kind of hard to be good at the shaman. Like, it's hard to find the right tool for each situation and, be efficient at it. So that's just me. If you are a shaman enthusiast, please leave me some comments and let me know, what you think about it and how I'm wrong on all of this. But that's really all I've got for you today. I just wanted to get this video out. I've been putting this one off because, like I say, this is probably my weakest class in WoW Classic. So, you know, uh, Feel free to set me straight if I got anything wrong. Um, but yeah, leave me a like, comment, subscribe, all that fun jazz, and I'll see you in the next one.